Thank you. I'm happy to be here. My name is Marta Bescansa. I'm a solutions consultant at CARTO. If you don't know who we are a spatial analytics platform. I'm based in Portugal, in Lisbon, but our team is based worldwide, mainly in Europe and in the Americas. So today I'm here to talk about data, big data, maps, and why location matters. But before we begin, I'd like to ask you some questions. How many of you have changed office location in the last 2 years? Okay, I have a couple. How many of you have moved houses in the last 2 years? All right. And how many of you are shopping in a different way to the way you were doing it 2 years ago? Like maybe like doing more online shopping, for example. Okay, so lots of consumer patterns changing here. The reason why I am asking you what you were doing 2 years ago is because 2 years ago was the last time a census was conducted in the Netherlands. And we were still in the middle of a pandemic. So I'm really sure that many of you here in the room are actually making decisions within your business based on data. And something that we are seeing with our CARTO customers is that many of them very often use quite old information to make strategic decisions in their businesses. And if you're making decisions based on behaviors observed in the middle of a pandemic, that data cannot be reflecting what's happening today. Working with updated data, it's quite important. Okay, so enough on that. What I really want to bring up is that 80% of the data that you are working with has some kind of location attachment to it, right? Because if you think about it, everything happens somewhere, or almost everything, so it does really make sense. But actually, we only see that 10% of this data is actually being analyzed to take business decisions. And nowadays, we're not talking about just simple data. We're talking about really large amounts of data that need to, they get retrieved every hour, every day. They need to be stored in a proper way, analyzed and visualized using the right approaches. Okay, how many of you have a GIS team within your company? Okay, 2, 3 people, nice. All right, GIS teams, normally, if it even exists, used to be a couple of people doing very specific maps with software that anybody just then could really operate. But the reality today is really changing. It's quite different. The world of geospatial data is not for geo people anymore. And why do we know that? We know that because all the clouds, Google, Amazon, are making a big push to work with geospatial data by providing geospatial support to their data warehouses. Spatial data, it's relevant for business decisions. The clouds know it. They're really reacting to it, and you should also care about it. And what this change also means is that modern data infrastructures are really opening the door for performing spatial analysis at scale. So working with big geospatial data is not a problem anymore. Okay, so this is about location data. Many of you, I have been talking with some companies, some people that are telling me that they are using some BI tools. Tableau, QLake, there are plenty of them, and they're great. You can really use them to get a sense of what's going on with your data. But let's speak EV vehicles, electric vehicles, okay? So if you want to map points on a map to know where your chargers are, that is something that is quite simple, and you can do it with a BI tool, no problem. But the thing might get a little bit challenging if you're trying to understand why some locations are actually performing better than others, where there is more demand. And maybe if you want to even expand your business and you want to learn on the historical data based on your operations in order to identify areas that would also perform well, this is where spatial intelligence comes in and why a location intelligence platform is meaningful or makes sense. Okay, so I'm not really going to give a big pitch about CARTO. I'm here like to give a big pitch about Geo because I really like it and I enjoy it. But I really want to show you like some examples on how spatial analytics are actually like solving industry problems on a daily basis. Essentially, data analysts, data scientists, business developers work with our technology, with our platform to look at location-based use cases that will help them answer some questions within their business. And these use cases really can be anything, like retail is using it to find like new locations. We work with telco companies that want to optimize the way they perform like a 5G rollout of their network. Even like an insurance company, right? They need to have a tool, a geospatial tool, to understand how to value properties in the event with any type of like environmental event. So where do we add value? What we basically do, I know like a lot of talks here are being about data infrastructure. What we do is basically sit on top of your data warehouse. So you don't have to move data anywhere, saving all like the risk associated to it, and allows you to create dashboards that are quite interactive and really quickly. And apart from that native access to your data, we also provide a very comprehensive data catalog that allows you to enrich all your analysis. It's actually like the largest marketplace for spatial data, and it's continuously updated, which is a good thing. And we really cover like a large range of topics. So it can be like traffic flows, social media, POIs, social demographics, you name it. It's really like an end-to-end platform. It is designed for people that are technical and not technical to work with it. But when it really allows you to go above and beyond with your spatial analysis is when we use our analytics toolbox, which is basically a set of dozens of functions that we have developed very extensively in order to allow users to analyze, aggregate, predict, transform spatial data, no matter how big it is. Okay, so let's talk about some business cases in the industry. I want to show how companies are actually leveraging spatial analytics in order to solve their business problems. One case that we talk about quite often is Vodafone. Vodafone, well, large telecommunications company. They have business all over Europe and beyond. They provide data that is quite meaningful for so many industries. I mean, human mobility data, where people are going, where people are concentrating, right? So they really wanted to make this data available in an easy way. And what they came up with was Vodafone Analytics, which is basically using CARTO technology to build their first client-facing application. The tool allows users to trigger different types of widgets in order to filter the data that they're interested in and then get like a report according to their needs. It provides a lot of social demographic data, consumer types data, different. As a result, they're like winning a lot of customers and they are really like upscaling their telco business. MasterCard, very similar case, transactional data. Imagine you are wanting to open a new coffee store, right? Wouldn't it be great to have data about where coffee products are being mostly consumed? It will be very, very important for you to understand, okay, this would be like a good location, or this will be not such a good location. You can even like combine it with other additional data sets, right? So they really wanted to make this data also available. The challenge here was that the industries that want to work with this type of data are really diverse, so they needed to provide it at very different scales, and they are using some of the CARTO like analytical stack in order to aggregate and provide this type of data in very different formats. Geomarketing, Poster Scope. It's one of the largest out-of-home companies in the world, so ads on the street. They're using CARTO in order to build a tool that will allow them to design media marketing campaigns in a very quick way and quite efficient. The idea behind is like, imagine you want to launch a new TV program, right? You have a target market. You know who are those people that you really want that are going to watch the TV program. So with this tool that they provided, they are able to place those ads in the places that are most likely to feature a highest amount of that type of audience. So the XY app, which is the one that they created, is really like helping them to identify target campaigns with micro segmented audiences, and it also allows them to create like an automatic spatial index based on multiple data streams that can be like, for example, Instagram, Twitter, TomTom, or even like our own data observatory data. In this way, they're really like helping to help their clients in a very efficient manner, and they're really positioning themselves as a leading, as leaders in the market, because they're leveraging all this like spatial analytics stack versus other companies that are not yet there. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to come back to the case I mentioned before, EV chargers, how to get real insights in the expansion of such a network. We're working with CTID, which is like a leading engineering company providing different services. They have like really big plans to expand their network in the coming years. So how are they doing that? In this case, they are using CARTO's site selection app to identify the right location. So it's not just like a descriptive analytics application. It really allows you to monitor chargers across your network, to compare different performances, identify competitors, or even predict the success of future charging stations. Okay, I hope I threw some light in the world of geo and why it matters. I really feel that we are living in a time where geo has substantially evolved, and that location intelligence can really help organizations optimize their operations. You can really leverage the computing power of your data warehouse to deal with big data, and spatial data is not an exception. It can be done quite easily if you are using like the good technology. So the list of business cases that you can solve is really endless. If you have any analytical challenge, or you're wondering if a spatial analytics could be something for you, we would be very happy to start a conversation. And thank you for being with my presentation.